This is A Motivated Mind with Jen Cole, and I am Jen, and I'm so glad you're here. If you want reliable, relatable information and honest answers to real life questions, then go ahead and hit subscribe and the bell, ding ding, so you don't miss a thing. I'm really glad that you're here today, and today we're going to be talking about something that's kind of sensitive. So, disclaimer one, if you get triggered by talking about trauma and abuse, then please consider what mind space this is going to put you in before you watch it. Two, you might want to watch this with earbuds or put closed caption on if you have little sponges running around that just love to absorb everything that they hear, and then they love to repeat it at the worst possible time. Some people would wonder why I would do a video talking about personal experiences as far as with abuse and trauma and things like that. But if you've watched any of my videos, first of all, welcome back. Your support means so much to me. And two, you already know that anything I talk about, I'm honest and candid about it. I don't worry about the people that judge me, what they think about, or how much they think that I need to talk about, because I'm worried about talking to the people that have been through these things, that need somebody to tell them that they're not alone, that somebody else has been through this too, because you guys need to see somebody that has come through on the other side to know that it is possible. You guys need to know that it is possible to recover from addiction and trauma and depression and abuse, even when that trauma is to the core. And that is what today's topic is: trauma to the core. When the core belief system that you have developed as a child gets malfunctioned and messed with, when the things that you're supposed to have in your life, and I made a little chart here, love and respect and self-worth, and how important money is to you, and working, your worth ethic, and how important education is. Those are all core beliefs that get instilled in us. Your belief about God, if you have one, those are all things that get instilled inside of you growing up. And if you imagine this jar as everything that you believe gets fit right into this little jar, and it's love and respect and all that. So this is you if you imagine your heart. Let's just say your heart, your mind, everything that you believe is in this jar growing up. And what happens is, when things happen to us that make us feel bad or unsafe or unwanted, or we get hurt, abused, molested, raped, or we grow up in a home to where somebody is abusing our mom, or our dad is not there, or he's drunk all the time, or our parents are addicts, or they are mean or cold and they don't love on us enough, or whatever it is, then what happens is that the good stuff kind of gets pushed up out of the way. It gets covered up, and it fills up more with stuff that we don't like about ourselves, bad things that we feel about ourselves, and all of these things get taken away. Slowly, 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 they get taken away. And we can't understand why we do things like get in abusive relationships when we grew up like that, and we swore on everything that I would not going to be with somebody that hits women, because that's what I seen my mom go through. Or you say things like, I would never be with somebody that doesn't work, and then all of a sudden you find yourself repeating the same thing that you've seen growing up. Well, here's why. Because the feelings associated with those things become so familiar that when you see those things in somebody, it's the feelings to where, oh, I feel like I've known you my whole life. I just met him or her, and instantly we hit it off, and I feel like I've known them my whole life. Because you've known those characteristics your whole life. You've known those traits and those behaviors your whole life. And then you're in the relationship for a while, and you're like, why are you hitting me? I didn't think you would do this. Or why are you not working? Why are you wanting me to take care of everything? Why are you controlling? Why are you abusive? Why are you doing these things? Because those things are so familiar to you that you're able to relate to those things that you're seeing about that person, inside that person. And then you end up repeating things that you never thought that you would. So what happens is, the love and secure starts getting taken away little by little because of the things that we go through. And then once we don't feel love, then we start questioning why we're not lovable. So then our worth and our value starts getting taken away little by little. And then we start feeling like there's something wrong with us. We start doubting if we're even smart. Maybe I'm just too stupid to find a good relationship or a good job. And then when, say you're molested as a child and you tell your parents about it and they don't want anybody to know, so they don't get you counseling, they don't handle it in the right way, and they start telling you things like, you can't tell anybody because people will think this or they'll think that about you, or you don't want a guy to know that you were molested. That's garbage and it's nonsense. If you are molested or raped as a child, your value as a person does not change. And telling your child that they need to be quiet about something that happened to them when somebody crossed their boundaries is going to take away their value as a person. They don't feel protected. They don't feel valued. They don't feel like they have as much worth as other people's opinions. So then what starts is that then there's more crap with that. More garbage. It just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. Where now look what's happened. All of this love and support and respect and everything else that you needed as a child is not there. Now, I'm not talking about not teaching your child to talk to the correct person and, don't just walk up to random people and say things. But if this has happened to your child, they need to talk to somebody about it. This whole keep it in the family stuff is nonsense. They need to get that out there because it's going to affect them. Time doesn't do anything. It doesn't heal. Nothing heals because of time. It's what you do in that time that dictates whether or not you're going to heal from these situations. So if you are a parent and your child goes through this, sweeping it under the rug, not talking about it, telling them to be quiet and keep it a secret is not going to help. That is going to damage them for years and years and years. I cannot tell you how many girls that I've talked to and guys that say that they were molested or raped as a child and their parents did not want them to tell anybody because of what people would think. I do not let the opinions of others hold power over me any longer. I stopped doing that. I still struggle with this, meaning it does come up from time to time. But never ever in my child's life would I ever keep a secret about somebody hurting them because I was worried about what other people thought. It changes the value of what that child is going to feel about themselves. If nobody has done this for you yet, let me do this now. I'm going to give you permission to talk about your story. I'm going to give you permission to share your truth. I'm going to give you permission to no longer be a victim, and I'm going to give you permission to hold your head up high because your value as a person has not changed. You are not devalued. There is no worth taken away from you because of what somebody chose to do. Let me address something else that I hear a lot. Why would God allow this to happen to me? How could God let this happen? Are you able to dress how you want today? Are you able to walk outside? For the most part, we have free will, do we not? The people that do wrong, the people that I believe should be stoned, the people that molest children and hurt people, they have just as much free will to do those terrible things as we do to eat a bowl of cereal. That may not be a popular answer, and that may not be something that you want to hear, because we want somebody to blame when this happens, and we want to say, God, why didn't you swoop down and send an angel down with a sword and cut off their head? Why didn't you intervene and do these things? Because that person has just as much free will to do that terrible thing as you and I do to make the decisions that we make. I want to say something else, and this is probably not going to be a very popular opinion. But when people say things like everything happens for a reason, and God knew I was going to do this, God knew I was going to relapse, I don't personally believe that. I believe that God has a purpose for you, and He has things laid out on that path. When we veer off of that path, God has a path for us, and we're going along. That's my road. And we're going along on this path. God has things, purpose, things that He wants us to do. Now, if we decide to veer off that road, that's a free will. That is free will. God can't stop you from making decisions not to do right or not to live right. God does not know if you're going to wake up tomorrow and say, I'm no longer going to go to church, or I'm not going to live for Him, or I'm going to start living for Him. God knows if you're going to wake up, but He doesn't know what you're going to do in that day. He doesn't control your free will, meaning He doesn't control the free will of others. And it is never in the plan or the design of God for you to be hurt. I believe that He can take those things that's happened to us and turn it around so that we can reach other people that's going through those things. But never, ever, ever, anywhere in the Bible does it say that it is God's plan for somebody to perish or be hurt. In fact, it says the exact opposite, that it is not God's will for any to perish. It is not God's will for you to go through these things and get hurt. It is God's desire to heal you from these hurts. But God does not say, God does not say, I'm going to plan it out so that this person gets abused and this person gets molested. I got a little tongue-tied there because I know that I'm going to get a lot of feedback and a lot of strong opinions about that. But you know what? You don't have to agree with my opinion at all. This is just what I think, and this is just how I have healed from these things that have happened to me, because I know that those people that did that to me about 12 years, about 8 years ago, I guess. About 8 years ago, I was walking across the street to a store, and these two guys pulled up in a car, and they acted like they were looking for directions. And when I went up to the car, very foolish, it was at night, but it was so close to my home that it was familiar, and I felt comfortable in my surroundings, which, so I didn't anticipate the danger. I walked up to the car to give them directions because the driver was dressed kind of nice, so I thought, this is safe, he's probably just lost. They pulled me into the car, and they took me a couple blocks down the road, and they sexually assaulted me, both of them. They beat me up pretty bad. They kicked me in the mouth. They made me dig a hole and put my face down into the ground. I share all of this with you because I know that some of you have been through similar things, to where you've been beaten and abused and raped, and you feel like nobody understands, and you feel like that nobody gets it when you have PTSD, and nobody understands nightmares, and nobody understands when I say triggers, I'm not talking about drugs. I'm talking about emotional triggers, to where you will hear a song or a smell or anything. You can see something and it will trigger all of those feelings to come right back up, as if you've never gotten rid of them, as if it just happened yesterday. So, you're now fighting all of this stuff that was instilled in you as a little kid, and now you have a whole nother set of your stuff that happened to you as an adult because of the things that happened to you when you were little. I shouldn't say because, but it contributed to it. The things that happened to me when I was little, let's have a party, throwing stuff around. The things that happened to me when I was little contributed to my decision making process and how important I thought that I was, and then whether I deserved a better relationship, whether I would allow somebody to put their hands on me more than once. It all was contributing factors. So now what do you do? Because now you're in a place in your life to where you had all these core things that were all messed up and confused and blurred boundary lines, and you don't know what real love means and support, and they were supposed to protect me and they left, and now what do I do? Because I don't understand why God let me let these things happen, but he made the stars, how could he not do this? And then these things start happening to you as an adult, and you're like, now I don't know what to do, because people suggest going to counseling, and you are wanting to talk about the stuff that you don't know where to start. Do I need healing from the stuff that's going on now? Do I need to go way back to where I was a little girl and get healing from that? Where do you start? Well, here's where you start. You give yourself permission to no longer be a victim. You give yourself permission to talk about what happened to you. Do not cast your pearls before swine. Do it in the right type of environment, to somebody that you can trust. Don't talk to people that are just wanting to get information, to just share that information with other people. Do it in the right environment, meaning that somebody's going to understand where you're coming from. They're going to allow you and give you space to feel however it is that you feel about this. Take your power back. You are not that 6-year-old little girl anymore. You are not that 15-year-old young lady anymore. You are not 21 anymore, or whatever age that was that you got hurt. You are not there anymore. Take your power back. You couldn't control what happened to you. You couldn't control the things that went on or who you had to be around. Give yourself permission to heal. Give yourself permission to no longer be a victim. Give yourself permission to tell your story. Share your truth. Don't walk around with your head hung down. I know that these things have affected you and it has contributed to your decision-making process. Most people that I know that have gotten into addiction, not everybody, but that have gotten into issues with addictions, with drugs and alcohol, sometime in their life they were abused as a child, they were molested, they were raped, and they find it really easy to do things like become a dancer, or they become a prostitute, because they are easily able to mentally disassociate themselves from where they are. They no longer feel everything they're going through because it was part of a coping mechanism that they developed when they were little. It became part of their everyday life to put a mask on and just be exactly who everybody needs them to be, because they didn't want everybody to know about their life. They didn't want everybody to know what they were going through. So when they're home, it's an awful place to be, and they're getting hurt, and then as soon as they walk out that door, they're happy. And they do it so much that it becomes almost systematic in their life, to where they don't even really know who they are. You don't really know who you are because you've had to be who everybody else needs you to be. You get into these relationships, I've done it, and you want to become exactly who they need you to be. You cook the way they want you to cook. And I'm not just talking about, you're going to make things that your kids want you to make. But you get into these relationships and you cook the way they want you to cook, and you eat the way they want you to eat, and you watch the movies they want you to watch, and you dress the way they want you to dress, and you don't even really know how you would dress or how you would wear your hair or any of that. You lose sight of who you are, and you don't know who you are because you don't have any worth about yourself because of this. Because this right here. Because the value and worth of who you are was so misplaced. Then you have misplaced guilt and shame, and you don't even know what you're supposed to be sorry for, if you're supposed to be sorry, and you become a sorry sayer. Or you say, I'm sorry over everything. Someone bumps into you and you say you're sorry. Your guilt, your shame, your pride, your love, your safety, your security, your worth, your value, all of that is all over the place, and you don't even know where to start, and you can't find your way out. You can't find, you don't know who you are, you don't know what you want in a relationship, you don't even really know anything about your true self, because the first, I really hope you get this. The first few definitions that you really started to believe about yourself were all negative. You believed you were not worth protecting. You believed that you were nothing more than just a physical release for somebody else. And they used you and they used your body, and that's all they seen you as, was something for a moment. And that's just not who you are anymore. So I'm going to give you permission to move through what has happened. I'm going to give you permission to be this amazing, wonderful, unique, intelligent, lovable, desirable, compassionate, let me say amazing again, person that you are. Because that's who you are. You're not that person that was you're not still getting abused. You've come through these things. You are not a victim. Hold your head up. And you get to now move out all the black. You get to move out all that stuff. And you get to decide what you believe about yourself now. You can fill this up with good things now. You can fill this up with love, self-love, self-respect. You can start filling this stuff up by what you tell yourself. You can start telling yourself good things. I love myself. I'm worthy. I deserve this. I deserve peace. I deserve respect. I deserve honor. I am honor. I am a vessel of honor. I'm not dishonorable. I'm not, my value as a person, as a woman, as a man has not been lessened because of what somebody else done to me. I know today's been a little like all over the place and a little sensitive, but I really hope that you got something out of it, because I hope above all other things that you heal from this and you learn how to grow through these things and not just go through them, that we can grow through them, and that you can take the experiences that you've been through, and you can take these things that's happened to you, and you can take, when you're walking out of the darkness, you now can see the light of where you are, and you can turn around and you can shine that light back to somebody else that's still in that dark place. And that's what I'm trying to do. I just want to share about where I was, because you're not alone. You're not alone. And you don't have to go through these things alone. I promise you don't. If you know somebody that needs this, well, the first thing I want to say, that if you are in a situation and somebody is hurting you, please don't suffer in silence. Please don't stay in this situation. You can look up the national, I don't have the number right in front of me to say what it is, but there is a national abuse hotline, domestic violence. You don't have to stay in that situation. You don't have to suffer in silence. Get out of that situation. And you can heal from this. If you know somebody that has gone through these traumatic events and you see that it is still affecting them and it is contributing to the decisions making that they're doing now, share this video with them. Comment below on videos and let me know if this touched you at all. If you can relate to this, say relate. If this touched you at all, say, you know, yes. Or whatever you want to say. Just interact with me and let me know that you got something out of this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Anything we do, we want to do well, and YouTube is no exception. I want this channel to grow because I want to get it out there that it is possible to grow and heal. That there is hope and there is healing out there. No matter what the situation is, no matter how dark things look, there is always, always hope. I'm Jen Cole, and I approve this message. Until next time, bye-bye.